Hello, everyone. Greetings and welcome to the HP Podcast, episode number 287. And as I say it, I think I might have just copied and pasted last week's number. But if I didn't, it's 287. If I did, it's 288. And in reality, it doesn't really matter because you're here and we're here. I'm Ben, and with me here today are two of the most beautiful boys you've ever known. Dave is here first. Well, actually, he was here second. But I'm going to introduce him first. Dave, hello. Greetings.
I always come second, brother.
Wow. Dave.
Must be nice.
I feel like I'm...
One time a hooker told me I was faster than the speed of life, so I killed her.
Oh, let's start over. Oh, this is live.
This is the
Dave.
HP Podcast.
I looked over at your screen for a second, and it looked like I saw smoke billowing up. There is smoke.
It's tea.
Oh, yeah, it's hot tea.
Oh, okay. So it's like vapor.
Yeah.
It's less vapor, more or less smoke, more vapor. Okay, fair enough. What kind of tea is it, Dave?
It's peppermint. Or no. Yeah, this is peppermint tea. It's going to be really
Oh.
pepperminty because this is steeping pretty hard. But
I do love peppermint tea.
You
It's
steep
good.
so fucking hard, Dave.
God, guys.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It doesn't actually bother me. I just have to put on a show. Brandon,
Speaking
speaking of putting on a show, what you got going on your shirt there, brother?
Oh, it ain't a big deal. It's just a Soul Calibur.
You've had that shirt a long time, haven't you?
Just some fresh shit. Just got this from a show. You know
Oh,
how it
did you?
is. Yeah, I did. Dude, I had to pose with two Soul Calibur character cosplayers and then
Yeah.
tweet it. But there was no service in the convention center, so it looked like my tweet went, but it never actually posted. And I showed them, and they're like, "All right, cool. Here's a shirt."
When was this?
I don't know, bro. Probably when I wandered off. I'll like mosey around with you guys sometimes, and then I'll disappear for like.
Wait, you got that at Too Many Games?
No, dude, this was like at PAX.
Oh,
A long time ago.
You said it was recent. You said it was new. Am I tripping or are you tripping?
I ain't tripping.
Yeah, you're tripping.
I'm notoriously never tripping, dog.
Brandon, I was thinking the other day about that time we met up with, or not met up with, but we saw the near to be cosplayer.
Oh, dude, that was so strange.
And we walked up and we were all like, hey, you know, we're just in line, you know, whatever, to take a picture. And it wasn't because like we wanted a picture with the cosplayer. It was because there was some like incentive to do it. And so we got there and you were like stone faced and you were like, make a thumbs down. And the cosplayer was like, what does that mean? And you were like, it means I don't like the game.
She thought I was like trying to be weird or something. And I'm like, it's just a joke because everyone loves this game but me. And so if you pose with me with a thumbs down, but like, I don't know, some dudes were probably just harassing her for wearing a 2B cosplay. So like, right. I get it. But also like a thumbs down, like I wasn't like, you know, do one of these for me. You know, I wasn't like flashing that. It's like a thumbs down, bro. Like, come on now.
Universally known as the symbol for I don't like this.
Right.
Yeah. Except wasn't there something different in the Coliseum? Didn't they put their thumb the opposite way that you'd think?
They did like this thing.
I
think this meant you died though, and this was
that just in the movie?
That might have just been in the movie. Yeah.
So it was real.
It was. I mean, most movies are based in reality.
If Joaquin Phoenix did it, then it was real.
Amen.
Holy crap! I forgot that was Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah,
you're right.
He is the Joker in real life.
He is the Joker. He might be actually.
You wouldn't get it.
You wouldn't understand. There's so many actors that now that I've grown older and I'm watching like newer things, you know, and I forget that they were in old movies. And then I'll like see an old movie and I'm like, wait, that was that person? Like my wife and I were watching Modern Family, and
great show.
I can't remember her name, Claire, I think, the wife of the Dunphy wife.
Woman.
Yeah, and I'm like, she was in an Adam Sandler movie. She was in Happy Gilmore. I am positive of it. Yeah, and then I went and looked on the IMDb, and it was true. But it was kind of tripping me out for a minute. I'm like, I've seen Modern Family. Like a couple years ago, we started to watch it, and we fell off, whatever. And then we went back and we're just goofing around watching it, and I was like, why didn't I realize that was her before? But then somehow in the middle of that, I had watched Happy Gilmore probably, or seen a clip or whatever. It's so weird.
Sometimes, Ben, we look at life through different lenses.
Wow, that was deep.
Think about that.
It's one of the deepest things you might have ever said, Brandon. Actually,
I say a lot, usually not very deep, so that wouldn't be very hard.
I didn't want to go there, but you did for me. So
okay, I'm happy to self-deprecate myself. I do it all the time.
This is the HP podcast where we talk about video games and self-deprecation pretty much as often as we possibly can. If you want to help support the show, you can go over to patreon.com/handsomephantom. Sign up to join us for as little as $1 a month. We appreciate that very much. It helps us keep the lights on. You get the show ad-free and a day early if you sign up on Patreon and you're someone who listens to the audio. You check that out there. If you want to check us out on video, you can show up on YouTube at either Ben is Handsome or on Handsome Phantom YouTube channels and see All the Glory live Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. We appreciate you. All the Glorious Ginger live. That's what I'll say. And then also, if you want to just hang out with us, no money, no obligation needed, you go over to handsomephantom.com/Discord, sign up, join in, hang out for a bit. Now, a lot of you, I've actually gotten a couple messages over the years of people being like, hey, I'd love to join the Discord, but I don't have Discord. Is there a way I can hang out with you guys without Discord? And the reality is no, because we don't want to be in more than one place if we can help it. But the other reality is that if you are listening to the show, you're a gamer, and you claim to not have Discord, you are a liar. Like, you have an account somewhere that you made at some point. So if you really wanted to hang out with us, you could. And if you didn't have a Discord account, you could make a new one. But by the way, you do have one.
You can just come to our houses.
Dave, what is your address again? You can go first.
Address and Discord.
Yeah.
So you have to download Discord too.
We got free feet pics in there too, so double incentive to join.
You use pics as if it's plural. I think there might only be one in there, and it was yours.
He does have more than 1 foot. At
At
least
there was
that I
only
know
one
of.
foot. Does that count?
What? They're di-
Like,
they're di- they're di- they're different.
You can't say it's multiple feet pics when there's one picture of 2 feet.
No, because what
that's-
if one photo has 1 foot and the other photo has the other foot?
But it didn't. It was one photo with 2 feet.
How do you know they were both Dave's?
I don't. But that was still one photo.
How do you know I was even in the picture?
I don't. But it was still only one photo, guys.
I'd need more of my senses to be able to know whether it was Dave's feet or not, other than just sight.
This is going off the rails pretty quickly. Actually, literally the first thing Brandon said knocked the show off the rails. So,
Yeah, I tend to do that.
Some people would say it is what it is.
It is what it
I would tend
is.
to agree. Now I gotta stop here for just 1 second. I'm actually gonna stop the show. The show it is adjusting my system volume. This is the first
Dude.
time.
You sound different.
Do I really?
A little. For just a second there, you sounded a little bit different.
I'm using Windows 11. I got a new computer. Used it last week, but I didn't pay attention. This week I have because I noticed when I was editing this show. Well, not really. I don't really edit this show. I just kind of put it up there. But I was like, well, my voice is fluctuating, and it was manually moving my system volume for my microphone because the echo cancellation in StreamYard. I don't like that.
Off.
I did turn it off. It did turn it off, Brandon.
There also might be like a sound setting thing in Windows 11. It tries to make your life easier, but it ends up just making it worse.
Yeah, I think I fixed it. Test. Yeah. Okay. See, sorry, headphone users.
Rip headphone users.
Speaking of headphone users, let's listen to some gaming. I'm so bad at like transitions here. Let's talk about some video game news. That is what we mostly do on this show. Mostly.
Yeah.
This comes from InsiderGaming.com. It says the developers of Mortal Kombat have been hit with mass layoffs as the entire Netherrealm Studios mobile team has been let go. First spotted on Resetera. Posts began appearing on LinkedIn stating they were being let go and the team was let go. Good morning, Internet. Unfortunately, yesterday's Netherrealm's mobile team was shut down. Quality assurance analyst Tony Lazara posted. A ton of very talented people were put out of work. It hurts me to announce I've been laid off from Netherrealm Studios after about 10 years of working there, animator Elizabeth Ramirez said.
Bruh.
Netherrealm is owned by Warner Bros. Games. Insider Gaming has reached out to both Netherrealm and Warner Bros. Games for comment and the division closure and layoffs as of publishing, which was 3-4 days ago, something like that. No response has been received. At least 50 people have been impacted by these latest layoffs. Brings the total for the year for the whole industry to nearly 11,000 people. Boys, I want to talk about this, and it does kind of tie in with the next topic, so we can kind of swing those two together. But first, any comments on the Netherrealm Studios? Brandon, I know that the Mortal Kombat mobile,
Yeah.
you were pretty big on that for a while. And it was pretty good.
Dude, the Mortal Kombat mobile is actually great. I hope this doesn't mean the end of it, because I feel like they could still probably monetize. This probably means the end of further support, but it was a fairly robust game for all it was worth, at least when I was playing it a couple years ago. And I had to have mind you, this was my old job, but I was playing it like pretty much all day at my old job, every day. Yeah, so yeah, I put a lot of hours into that while I was getting paid, so it was great. But yeah, this is sad to see because I do think the mobile space, as far as this game goes, it was one of the better ones. Obviously, there was like some microtransaction shit going on, and I'm never like a huge advocate of that, but I played it a bunch and never spent a cent, so I always felt like it was pretty fair. But I honestly think this entire thing has something to do with the poor sales of Mortal Kombat 1. I think that they are much more inclined to close a studio that has the potential of gaining way less revenue. And if the revenue is not pulling in anymore from mobile, why keep it open? And why get rid of your main studio? I mean, I was looking up the numbers. I knew that people weren't as hot on Mortal Kombat 1, including myself, but I did not realize. Now, this is just a quick Google search, so someone can correct me in the Discord or in the chat if I'm wrong, but a quick Google search, Mortal Kombat 11, which I have said since I finished Mortal Kombat 1, which is the superior one, Mortal Kombat 11 sold more than 15 million copies. That's not the last one, but the one before that. Mortal Kombat 1, which was the newest iteration, has sold nearly 3 million copies.
So that's which is still pretty good in the scheme of things.
Now, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying that's good, especially for Mortal Kombat. But I think that there was probably some expectations. I think after 11, they probably assumed it would be a lot closer to the numbers 11 pulled. And I'm sure that they invested more heavily into 1. And when it didn't pay off, cuts are going to happen. Cuts are going to happen. And I truthfully think this is probably less of a indicator of the mobile studio's work, maybe an indicator of the revenue, maybe not, but more of an indicator of NetherRealms as a whole and their revenue with their last endeavor. So that's my take.
Brandon, have there been any new Mortal Kombat mobile games like as of late?
Not to my knowledge.
The one you and I played for a little while was the last one, right?
To my knowledge, yes.
So either they just decided they didn't want to do another mobile game, or what you said. But it seems to me like if the Mortal Kombat mobile game was still making money, like
Right.
still profitable, it wouldn't make sense to cut it to save money for another division, because if they were going to plan on, if it was still making money, because if you're making money somewhere, you want to not make money elsewhere. Like you don't want to. Let me say that again. If you're making money in one area and another area is losing money, you would usually cut the other area that's losing money, not the area that's making money.
Yeah, but I don't see any. I agree. I do tend to agree with you, Ben, but I don't see any possible situation where they would cut the main part of the main team and not the mobile team first.
Yeah.
That's just me. I agree it probably wasn't pulling in as much money as you thought, but to
Right.
me,
Not anymore. It probably did for a while there.
So
Right.
if the mobile game we're talking about, is it mobile Mortal Kombat Onslaught?
let me look.
No,
No, it's a different one.
it was Mortal Kombat mobile game. Let me see here. Oh wait.
It might be. I think it's
So they've just
Onslaught.
announced that that's being shut down. So I think that kind of answers the question
No,
about how
no,
it's
it's-
doing from a success
I
standpoint.
don't think it's Onslaught. This looks like some fucking Diablo shit. This isn't what we played.
No, this was an actual Mortal Kombat game, but it was mobile.
Right, right.
It was just Mortal Kombat. It was Mortal Kombat Combat Mobile, I think this is just called.
I'm looking
Anyway.
it up. Mortal Kombat on iOS. Yeah, it was just called Mortal Kombat.
Right.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Whatever it was an actual fighter game.
Either
like
way.
an actual Mortal Kombat game.
Right.
Not like a weird card game or just using the IP or whatever. I can't even look to see who made it now because I can't figure out what it's Mortal Kombat X. It was Mortal Kombat X, wasn't it? Now I gotta look that up. Live fact checking here. Yeah, Mortal Kombat X.
Yeah.
And I think they changed the name at some point. It came out in 2015, so the fact that it lasted 7, 8, 9 years.
Dude, so that's actually exactly it. Because we were playing it around when 11 came out.
Yeah.
So it was branded as X, and then when 11 came out, they
just dropped it.
updated it and they put all the new characters in it and the new skins.
Right.
And yeah, I was playing that for a bit. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Legitimately. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was good. Dave, any other thoughts about this before we move on to the kind of adjacent thing here?
Yeah, it sounds like most of these people from this division were attached to this Onslaught game because this has been shut down pretty much concurrently with these layoffs. So it's sad to see, and I gotta admit that if I was working at Netherrealm and they called me in on a Monday and they were like, Dave, we got this exciting new project that we want you to work on. It's a free to play mobile game. I'd just be like, fuck, I'm getting fired.
Yeah.
Because it's such a high risk thing to get into, and it's weird to me that they attached like longtime employees of the company, like they said one person had been there for 10 years to a high risk project like this, because it's so high risk that you'd think you'd put people on the project that maybe contract workers or something like that. But yeah, I'm with you guys. It seems like people have kind of gone cold on the franchise as a whole, which is really disappointing because NetherRealm has really poured a lot into this franchise for a long, long time and done really well with it. But it just kind of seems like, with Mortal Kombat 1 that the interest has kind of dropped off. And I'm not big on esports, but from what I understand, Mortal Kombat, when it comes to esports and fighting game, isn't as popular as like Street Fighter and some of the other more. Is that an accurate statement?
It's
It
had
depends on the year.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Depends on the
it had its up and downs. 11 Evo was really great. There recently was just an Evo, and I think Sonic Fox, which is one of the huge players in the fighting game scene, I believe won. And this one was Mortal Kombat 1. To your point, Dave, too, they also like not only is it losing steam, but they made a lot of changes in 1 from 11. And I feel like a lot of the people were happy with what happened in 11. And it was one of those classic things where they made changes that were very
Controversial.
yeah, and a lot of people didn't like them, including myself. One of the main game modes that they got rid of was the crypt that was added in 11, and they added some jank ass fucking Mario Party ass shit, and I didn't like it at all. And that was like one of the main game modes now. So it wasn't quite like Mario Party, but you like moved from block to block like a board in Mario Party. But anyway, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, no, it's again, it's not a good sign for these kind of games, but I mean, hopefully, you never want to see people lose their jobs, but if it's just the mobile division, hopefully that means that the company as a whole, this doesn't signal anything bad for them. But yeah, it's too bad. Keep buying the Mortal Kombat. The good thing is it goes on sale a lot, so. Hopefully that $3 million or 3 million sales figure will continue to climb, because I'm sure Mortal Kombat 11's number was largely based on sales as well. So
yeah, absolutely. With 15-ish million.
Yeah.
So yeah. 616 Entertainment in chat says Mortal Kombat consistently sells much better than Street Fighter. So that answers that question you had, Dave.
Although the new Street Fighter. Didn't it sell really, really fucking good?
No, I think it sold really well for a Street Fighter. I don't know that it sold well as far as between like a competition between the two.
Okay, Street Fighter 6 has reached 3.3.
Yeah, which I think is one of the higher Street Fighters of the recent era.
Street Fighter 5 7.4. Sheesh.
Okay, never mind.
All right. Anyway.
But that's over a longer period of time. But still, it's. What? How long Street Fighter 6 been out? A year now, almost.
Probably about that, yeah.
For it to pick up another 4 million copies to catch up with Street Fighter, the previous Street Fighter, you're not going to gain that much, after the first year probably. So, well, here's the second story that I thought was a little bit maybe like it could be talked about in line with this, and Multiversus developer Player First Games has been acquired by guess who? WB. Now, it kind of makes sense a little bit because, they license the characters. It's a licensed game. But here's the story from Video Games Chronicle. It says, following the acquisition, the Los Angeles-based studio will continue to be run by the co-founders. Player First Games and Multiversus director and head of technology will report to Carlos Barbosa, vice president and studio head of Warner Brothers Games San Diego. The San Diego studio, which is currently providing production support and live management for Multiversus, was established in 2019 and focused on the creation of free-to-play cross-platform titles. We have worked with Player First Games over several years to create and launch Multiversus, and we're very pleased to welcome this talented team to Warner Brothers Games. The bright and creative team at Player First Games adds to our extensive development capabilities. And then Multiversus people said, our team is excited to join, yada, 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 all that kind of stuff. And they mentioned here, we're working to make Multiversus game experience the best it can be. And having our development team integrated with the publisher is optimum for the players. Now, we were pretty hard on Multiversus not because it wasn't fun. It's a fun game. And I'm not good at fighting games. Like, I like to play them with my buddies, but I'm not like, I would never be competitive in any sense. I guess you could be competitive in anything if you dedicated your life to it, but that's not me. Multiversus was pretty fun, but then they at some point were like, hey, by the way, the beta's over now. Thanks for playing. And everybody was like, there was a beta? Like, we didn't know this was a beta. Like, we already... And then they took it away, brought it back. Maybe that was always the plan. I did not feel like it was communicated clearly if that was the case. But either way, it came back. Not as much hype as there was the first time it was around.
They shut it down for a long time, man.
They shut it down. Yeah, it was at least 6 months, if not closer to a year.
Time.
Yeah. Right now, like it's a lot of people are like, "Oh, that game's dead," and I understand the sentiment because there's not as much talk or hype around it as it was. SteamDB right now has the game with about 11,000 in game, which is actually not bad. I assume there's many more on all the consoles combined and everything. But here's what I'm wondering: WB bought it. I know NetherRealm and WB are different things. I know that Multiversus just had a license for the game, for the stuff from WB, whatever. But like, Do you think Multiversus actually gets to continue, or do you think they become a support studio for Netherrealm?
No, 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 no. I think they do get to continue. I'm going to be honest. I think that Warner Brothers is almost stepping in. I would assume they had a lot to do with how this game was rolled out. I mean, it's their IP. I'm sure
Yeah.
they're very protective of their IP.
Yeah.
If you remember, when this game was still going on, there was even articles that we were reading of the fall off of this game after the large
Yeah.
rise
Yeah.
and the large fall. And then after the large fall, they're like, hey, we're going away. Right. And then we'll be back. And to me, that signaled the game's done. Right.
Yeah.
But it's coming back. And I would assume at this point, Warner Brothers is almost stepping in because they can see the potential of the game. I like the game a lot. I do. And I liked it back then. I play a mean Finn. Nobody can fuck with me. Anybody can fuck with me as Finn. But I think the game has potential. And I think, to me, this is Warner Brothers stepping in because they see the game has potential, and there potentially was some mismanagement with how it was ran in the very, very beginning. So I didn't want this game to die ever because I think it is cool.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Yeah.
In chat, Radic, I'm actually glad to see this. This was something I was going to touch on, was that whenever the game was around, you can look up things back before it got taken down. The amount of time you needed to unlock characters was insane.
Yeah.
It very highly encouraged you to
I
spend
do
money.
remember that. Yeah.
Very highly, because it's I don't remember, I'm just throwing out a number here, but it was like you had to play 10 hours to 12 hours to unlock a single character or something like that. And that's, maybe to some people that's fine, but I don't know. It's not the meatiest of experience. It's just fighting. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm glad to see that they're doing something with it, but this signals to me Warner Brothers wanted to step in and kind of coddle their IP, and potentially did see some talent in this studio, which by all accounts I agree with.
No, I'm not saying they bought them to kill the game. I'm not saying that. But don't you think there's any potential? And Dave, you're welcome to weigh in here too. But it just seems to me like you have a game that is kind of slipping a little bit. The numbers are fine, but they're not going to stay that way forever. And they're obviously skilled at making fighting games. It just seems to me like at some point they're going to at least be tasked with you're running a little bit of support or backing up the Mortal Kombat team with backing up Netherrealm. I don't know. I mean, I might be totally wrong here, but it just seems like you have a fighting game studio and you buy another one. At some point, you're going to want them to smash together and work a little bit.
It's so different. Smashed together.
It sounds to me like Player First is being brought on as more of the service support studio, and if anything, this signals to me that they are playing the long game with Multiversus.
Yeah.
And we talked about this last time we talked about Multiversus on the show, where it doesn't seem like the kind of game that WB is willing to easily walk away from, which I think is great, because in this day and age when we're seeing so many publishers pull the plug so quickly on games as a service and free to play that aren't smash hits right out the gate, it's good to see that WB appears to be willing to play the long game. And I think these numbers are decent. Like, as you guys mentioned, they definitely flubbed the launch, but since then they've done what any good developer and publisher needs to do, which is listen to your players, because whether that's 10 people or 10,000 people playing, they're playing for a reason. So if you listen to what they're saying, you're going to improve your game. And it's funny, I read this story, and I kept, every time we talk about Multiverse, I'm like, I got to try this game. Before the show, I finally installed it. So hopefully after the show, I can see what it's all about. But yeah, I just don't think this is an IP that WB is willing to just let drop. And plus, with the money that they probably dumped into supporting Justice League, or Kill the Justice League Suicide Squad, that they can't really afford to just let these games float into the Netherrealm, as it were. So yeah. Hopefully
it does well. Like you said, I mean, I enjoyed it. I don't know a whole lot about fighting games from anything more than I'm having fun level. I had fun with Multiversus. It's so much of a I don't want to say hero fighter, but hero fighter, whatever. Maybe I just made a new term. I don't even know if that's a thing, but it's so much different than a lot of other fighting games. But it's cool because it has that IP, and even the IP that doesn't seem to work well together. The different things that they've licensed from Warner Brothers, or now I guess technically Warner Brothers just has them. It definitely is cool. It works. It doesn't seem to work well together on paper, but when you're actually playing it, it is a lot of fun. So hopefully they continue on. And one thing we know about fighting games is that fighting game bases are loyal to their base. Like, there are people who like fighting games no matter what they are. They're going to play Tekken, they're going to play Mortal Kombat, they're going to play Street Fighter, they're going to play Multiversus, they're going to play Smash, whatever. But like, once people latch on to a fighting game, they stay with that fighting game. Like, that's their baby. Especially when you get into more of the competitive scene. Again, not to say you're not going to play other games, but like, I think Multiversus, for it being out as long as it has now and still having as high a concurrent player base as it does, I think it's probably okay. I guess what I'm saying, I'm in no way saying they're going to kill Multiversus. I'm just saying, I feel like if they know that they're a talented team, and for them to not have them work at all with NetherRealm, just seems crazy to me. If I were them, I'd be like, look, and it's not. I know they're not the same games. Brandon, you were saying they're so different. They're definitely not. If you're good at one, doesn't mean you're going to be good at the other. I get it. I'm just saying, like, it seems like combining your resources to make a better product or two better products is the way to go.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah, I don't know. That's like, I don't know. It seems so different, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah. They are so different. I'm not
Like
saying they're not.
Yeah, like insanely.
Yeah. The games themselves are, but the principles, I think, are
Right.
the game development principles. Anyway. Number 3. Here's an interesting one. GamesIndustry.biz says 82% of U.S. gamers made an in-game purchase in freemium titles in 2023. A survey also found that 62%? Yeah, sure. 62% of adults aged over 18 engaged in gaming. I'm going to read the article here for a little bit. A new report has found that 82% of American gamers made an in-game purchase in a freemium title last year. That's according to ComScore's 2024 State of Gaming report, published in partnership with the in-game advertising platform Anzu. The report also found, I already read that part, of those surveyed, 77% play on more than one platform, with over a third regularly using a combination of console, PC, and mobile. U.S. gamers spent 45 billion hours on gaming sites and apps last year, with esports becoming an increasingly popular activity. An estimated 86% of Gen Z and 80% millennials surveyed said that they watched esports, while 53% of Gen Z and 61% of millennials said they engaged with esports content. I don't know what their metrics are there for engagement, but I'm assuming, it's more than just watching in some sense. They play somewhat competitive. Dave, this is, I guess this is not surprising to me, because we know that these free-to-play games, especially the big ones, are making mega bucks. But 82% of people who played, of Americans specifically, of United States gamers is the exact terminology, 82% of people who played a free-to-play game spent money on it. That's an insane number to me. I would not have expected it to be that high. What about you?
It's higher than I thought. Not much higher, because I, like the two of you, have seen the trajectory that the industry's gone, and I think we all have similar feelings on free to play and games as a service, and we know why they're there. And the fact that there's so many of them coming is because they're making money. And big executives see these numbers, like how many people are actually spending on free-to-play games, and then the actual number of like, well, how much money is this actually generating, as opposed to how many people are actually spending. This is just kind of the way the industry is going, and this is how money is made. It's great because, a $60, $70, $80 price tag that's a pretty big barrier for some people to try out a video game. But if you can remove that barrier and get people into your ecosystem, then these numbers are showing that eventually, if you put out a good product, they will give you that money. And I think it's kind of nice, though. In practice, it's a nice way to prove your product, rather than just putting out a bunch of really cool trailers and promotional stuff and saying, trust us, give us your $60 day one. This at least creates that trial. And we all loved demos back in the day, and those are gone, so this has kind of replaced that. But yeah, it's a huge number. I don't know about you guys, but I thought really long and hard, and I've never actually spent money in a free-to-play game. I was curious if you guys ever have. I see Brandon on his head.
Yeah,
there.
I mean,
Yeah.
A couple times. I bought battle passes, and I think I bought a skin once. I bought the
Yeah.
weed skin in Call of Duty, where
Yeah,
I was
you
like,
did.
where I was like a ghillie shoot, but instead of a ghillie, it's just like weed leaves. Tell me that isn't fucking awesome.
It
I mean,
was pretty
come on.
cool.
That
Yeah.
is fucking cool, bro.
Well, the thing about it is, so I've definitely bought battle passes and stuff, but most of the time
Hold on. A
Yeah.
battle pass is
Yeah.
it's not the same thing, right? Because this is a freemium, so that's free to play,
Yeah.
and then with in-game purchases. So
Yeah.
Well, no, but so a lot of battle passes give you currency to continue buying battle passes, right? That's kind of a standard now. But there is an original buy-in. Like you don't just usually get the coins out of nowhere.
Well,
Like
let's talk in specifics since Dave was asking. Fortnite, you can buy that game, play it for free, have the base skin, whatever. You get some rewards from the free battle pass. You never have to spend a dime if you don't want to, and
you don't
can
get
use it.
premium currency.
But if you want to get certain rewards and you want to get the premium currency, you have to buy the battle pass. So technically, that would be an in-game purchase in a free game. The battle pass in Fortnite would be a purchase.
okay,
In a free
battle
game.
pass. I think Brandon confused me because he was talking about Call of Duty, which again, Warzone free to play, but
It's-
Yeah, you can-
Call of Duty.
It's the same thing.
And
Yeah.
the battle pass in Call of Duty now, so if you buy a battle pass in Call of Duty, it works with both Warzone and regular multiplayer. So you could play Warzone for free and buy the battle pass, and that would be considered. So that's really what we're looking at here. Like, there's a lot of free to play games. Don't get me wrong, but probably the big ones, the big hitters, are going to be things like Multiversus that we were just talking about. They're going to be Call of Duty / Warzone. They're going to be Fortnite. They're going to be Rocket League, Roblox. Yeah. So like, we're looking at some of the world's largest IP here that people are playing and spending money in. Now the confusion gets in. I've heard people be like, "Oh, I just played that on Game Pass, so I've never spent any money on it, but I bought it something in game." And it's like, well, you did because you're
did
paying
spend
for
money.
Game Pass. But I understand the confusion. But I still think this is probably like, have you ever played a free to play game and spent money kind of thing? But yeah, I've not bought like, let's see. I bought a couple, maybe one or two skins in Fortnite back in the day, and then I've bought the battle pass. You know, most of the time I earn enough currency to rebuy them. But I don't think, like, I'm a 36-year-old man with 2 kids and a wife and bills. I'm probably not the average person spending money on these games. Although, hey, probably people in my demographic probably have the money to spend, but it's just not my thing. That's not what I want to spend my money. I'd rather buy a new game with the money I would have spent on skins, because I don't care that much about bling and stuff in them. But also, I just glanced down and somebody brought up the MiHoYo games. Like Genshin Impact is gigantic. The game
Dude,
is insane.
They make
And
so much money off
There's
that.
so much money there, and that's a free to play game too. So anyway, I don't remember how we got off on that tangent, but that's basically what it is. So either a skin or a battle pass or something similar to that would be a purchase in a freemium game. Here's why I think Concord is shooting themselves in the foot. Concord, I think, could be, I don't think it's perfect, but I think it's fun enough that it could get an audience and build an audience if it were free. If you have to pay $40 and then they give you in-game purchases on top of that, you're lessening your pool of people who are willing to spend extra money on your game. Because if I buy a game and I spend $40 on it, I am way less likely to ever buy a battle pass or ever buy a skin. And I'm already not very likely. I am way less likely to do that. Even in something like Deep Rock Galactic. Like, okay, this game was $20. It's got some in-game stuff, but I already spent money on this game. I'm not going to buy. I love that game, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not the target audience for in-game purchases, clearly. But I think there are a lot of. I think that other 18% of people, probably most of that other 18% of people, are people who are never going to spend money on a game, right? But of that 82% of people that we're talking about here, they're probably also many of them are not going to buy a game outright because they already have free games that they're spending money on. And I just think that Concord, you're charging $40 for the thing. Maybe you sell a couple million copies if you're lucky. I just think that you limit your pool of people who are willing to continually support that game through purchases is limited, even more so than it was before. And I don't know all the right numbers. I don't know the right things. All I'm telling you is that games with in-game purchases that you have to pay for, I guarantee you they sell less in-game purchases than games that are free. Guaranteed. Maybe that adds up to a different number. I don't know. I've never been behind the scenes and seen all those numbers. But Concord charging $40 is going to make it less money than if the game were free. And I don't think PlayStation agrees with that clearly, but I think that our experience playing these games and seeing these games, I can't remember the last time I played a game of Fortnite where I didn't see a character in a premium skin. I can't remember the last time I played a game of Call of Duty where at least half the lobby didn't have a premium skin. Like, these are not hard concepts to figure out. If you're making these types of games, you should also be playing them. And for people not to realize that in-game currency, in-game purchases are making so much money, and they're like, let's charge for it anyway. I just don't understand it. I don't understand the mentality behind it.
Honestly, if I could say, I think they're kind of trying to take a page from the original Overwatch's book, like directly. That game was $60 out the gate. It had microtransactions, but it was like, I don't know.
How many free-to-play games were there in 2016 when that game came out?
That's the
It wasn't that long ago, but it was
point.
a different time, I think.
Excellent point, Ben.
Yeah. There are so many free-to-play games right now that if I'm a 16-year-old kid and I don't have the money to buy all these games, but I might get a gift card for Fortnite for V-Bucks, right?
Right.
There's a little chance somebody's gifting me Concord. There's a much better chance somebody's giving me a Sony gift card, and I'm like, oh, I have credit I can use in this free game that I already play. I don't know.
I remember when I first started playing the Old Republic, which again, this is going back quite a bit further, 2009 or something like that. It was full price day one plus a subscription fee, which if you want to release an MMO in this day and age, that's unheard of.
Yeah.
So it's changed fast. It certainly has, but it's yeah, you're right. Concord is just, it's setting itself up for failure because look at the competitors. Like, everybody's going free to play, and why would I play your game? It doesn't have any recognizable IP. There's some interesting people working on it, but the average gamer doesn't care about that kind of stuff. So,
right.
Yeah.
Edward Bolton in chat just says, remember Destruction All-Stars was a paid game before they started pushing it free for PS Plus. Well, technically it released free for PS Plus because I think the pre-order numbers just weren't there. And it would not surprise me if in the next, month and a half 2 months before Concord comes out, if we see them say, PlayStation Plus members get it for free. If you already pre-ordered it, you get a refund, whatever, because I don't think it's doing the numbers it needs to do. And also, by the way, Destruction All-Stars is not a good model to follow for anybody because I'm pretty sure no one plays that game at all anymore. Radic is going to disagree with me or tell me I'm wrong, but I'm pretty certain that nobody plays that game anymore. I played 5 or 10 hours of that game, and I was like, this is fine, but there are so many other things that I'd rather be playing right now.
Right.
It didn't do it for me. But, different taste for everybody.
Right.
And that's why they make menus at restaurants.
Hey.
Never mind. That's a whole other, I'll tell you guys. It's a thing I saw recently. Okay, what are we talking about now?
Good news.
Good news here, ladies and gentlemen.
Gamers.
This is a little bit dated at this point, but it came out right after we recorded last week. Paramount Plus has canceled its Halo show after 2 seasons. The decision comes after season 2 of the show premiered in February. According to Deadline, Amblin Television, Xbox, and 343 Industries hope to find a new partner to continue the series. A spokesperson for Paramount Plus said in the statement, quote, "We are extremely proud of this ambitious series and would like to thank our partners at Xbox, 343, and Amblin Television, along with showrunner and executive producer David Weiner. His fellow executive producers, his entire cast led by whatever." 343 added, "We deeply appreciate the millions of fans who propelled the Halo series to be a global success, and we remain committed to broadening the Halo universe in different ways in the future, and we're grateful," etc., etc., etc. Pretty interesting here that after 2 seasons, they decided to cancel it, even after the first season was Paramount Plus's, I think they said it was one of their biggest shows, their biggest show they'd ever had as far as people watching it. And here's my question. Is Paramount Plus dying, or is the show in the second season, everybody was like, I'm not watching this shit again? Or is it both? And if it's Paramount Plus dying, I'm okay with that, by the way. They give it out to everybody for free. You got Walmart Plus, Paramount Plus for free. You got Verizon, Paramount Plus for free. There's so many things that if you just, you already have this thing, here's Paramount Plus for free.
You order a Little Caesars pizza, Paramount Plus.
You want a Little Caesars pizza? You get a free Mountain Dew?
Paramount
Call
Plus.
of Duty skin, Paramount Plus. Have at it.
Dude, the only good thing that the Halo show did, and it's not like it doesn't make sense lore wise, but it confirmed that Master Chief fucks. That's
Yep.
the only good thing it did, and I'm saying that in jest because he's not supposed to fuck. You know, he's not built like that. But yeah, this show was a disaster. I feel like it was worked on by people who didn't understand anything. I feel like these shows reaching milestones doesn't really matter when clearly the fall off was so heavy. Like people came for the IP and they clearly were disappointed if it's getting canceled after the second season. So this is
But I
good
mean,
news.
it was not well received the first season either.
Yeah, but it was watched. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
People came because of the IP. They wanted
Yeah.
it to be good, and they were
Right.
incredibly disappointed. So,
Yeah.
yeah, this is good. I hope that this is like a lesson learned. We know, I know it's not because these people in boardrooms never learn. They're starting to learn. I hope we're starting to get good video game shit occasionally.
Problem is, there's a lag between knowledge and execution.
Yeah, truly. But yeah, this is good. This is good news. Shut that shit down. Sorry to everyone losing their job. Sorry to the writers and the actors. You'll be fine though. You'll find something else. Just scratch it out of the resume. Pretend it didn't happen. Also, an aside for shitty video game content, the Borderlands movie is getting insanely bad press. I cannot wait to watch it because I want it to flop so fucking bad. I hope it's hilarious because it's so bad.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Sorry about the aside, but that's all I got for the Halo
That's fine.
show. Good riddance.
Kind of on a backtrack from what we were just talking about, Ed posted in the chat, says Marvel Rivals currently has 49,000 players. Concord is dead. I think Concord peaked at like 20. The beta peaked at like 2,200 on Steam, and I assume this number, the 49K, is Steam as well. Interesting thing about that, there's a couple of interesting things. One, Marvel Rivals is going to be a free-to-play game. So that is a big difference, is that a lot of people who weren't going to pay for Concord also aren't going to bother pre-ordering the game so they can play the beta, right? That makes sense to me. But the other thing is that Marvel Rivals, though, you can't just go on Steam and play it if you want to. You have to request access, and you have to be granted access. Now, clearly, they had a lot of room for people to jump into this beta and check it out, but 49K players, that is not good for Concord. And
Not at all.
hopefully that is very good for getting a clear picture of what Marvel Rivals is going to be, because I am interested, as I've said. And I'm still, by the way, I've said all along, I was interested in Marvel Rivals. I didn't think Concord looked that bad, and I actually did like Concord in the beta that I played. I didn't love it enough to spend $40 on it, but it was great for a weekend for me. Dave, we were talking about something, and I didn't let you talk about it. Halo series.
Halo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually kind of enjoyed Halo. Granted, I binged it the weekend after my vasectomy, so I was on a lot
He
of
was loopy.
painkillers.
He was loopy.
But yeah, the reason I started watching it was because I was hearing some really good stuff about season 2, and I actually enjoyed season 1 more than season 2. There's a really cool sequence at the end of season 1 that whether you liked it or not, if you're a fan of Halo, you probably would have loved this sequence because it was all first person. It was just like watching the game. So that was really cool. But at the end of the day, I was watching the show, and despite the fact that I recognized almost none of the characters or the actors or actresses, as I was watching the show, I thought to myself, how much fucking money did this cost to make? Just all the post-production CG stuff must have been crazy. And the thing is The Last of Us has set the bar really, really high when it comes to critical reception of video game properties. And The Last of Us shot in the fucking country in Calgary, out in Alberta. So I don't think that cost nearly as much. So I think Paramount probably looked at the bills that this show was racking up and the negative reception and the probably not a lot of people who were signing up for Paramount Plus to watch it and just said, we're out. I really doubt this is going to get picked up by anyone because, as you mentioned, Ben, they are looking for another studio to pick up the show, but I think at this point it's kind of dead in the water, which is too bad, but it is what it is. And the other thing I have to say is I was enjoying this show more before I heard Chris Ray Gun just tear it apart because I like Halo, but I guess I wasn't as entrenched in the lore to know how many inaccuracies there were. I assumed they took liberties, but I didn't know it was as bad as until I heard Mr. Raygun tear it apart. So yeah, rest in peace, Halo and Master Chief's ass from early in season 1. So
Damn, dude. He fucks and he has an ass. Confirmed.
Wow.
He has
Two
cheeks.
things.
He's double cheeked up.
I thought they did Cortana perfectly.
Okay.
That's all I'll say. I think
Yeah.
she was great. But
Cortana's lovely. In all ways.
I was asked to be on a spoiler cast for that show.
You declined.
I suffered through the first season, and then said, "All right, I'm ready." And they were like, "We're not going to do it now." I was like, "What are you kidding me?"
You're like, honestly, good call.
Yeah. All right. Number 5. Netflix has 80 plus games in development. I'm going to read some stuff here from GameSpot. It's a little bit long, but Netflix has outlined its strategy around gaming, and the company is going big. The streamer said during its latest earnings briefing that it has 80 plus games in development currently, with the aim of releasing at least one new game per month into the Netflix Stories app. The Netflix CEO and president began by telling people why Netflix is involved in gaming in the first place, and this is a huge shocker, to make money. He said the global gaming market, minus Russia and China, accounts for $150 billion in annual revenue, and that's also excluding revenue from ads. A key differentiator for Netflix's video game releases is that they have no microtransactions or ads. Peters, however, alluded to the possibility of ad-based games in the future. Great. Saying ad-based revenue for games is not part of the current Netflix model. Netflix games launched around 3 years ago, and so far, they have been happy with the progress that the company has seen. Quote, we set ourselves pretty aggressive engagement growth tactics, and we've exceeded those in many cases, end quote. The impact of Netflix's games on Netflix's overall business remains quite small, adding that Netflix's investment level in games relative to its overall content spend is also quite small. In 2022, it was reported less than 1% of Netflix's user base has played a game on the platform, etc., etc., etc. Starting this month in July, we're going to launch about one new title per month in the Netflix stories, and this is amazing IP like Emily in Paris and Sailing Sunset. We have lots more, including different types of games yet to come in quarters and years ahead. Boys, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I know that I'm not a person who plays games on their phone. I'm also someone who, within the last, 6 months or a year, canceled Netflix for the first time in 15 years. But before that, even when there were games on Netflix, I watch Netflix on my phone occasionally, on my iPad, of course, on TV, on the TV, on the computer, whatever. You know, I've used all the different formats you could probably use, except for maybe a Kindle Fire or something. But I never once saw an advertisement or anything pointing me to a game, so I don't even understand how it's set up. But 80 plus games, and he mentions IP like Emily in Paris, which is a fine movie, I'm sure, but I don't understand how it can be a game. Anyway, all that to say, or all that to ask, really, what the hell, man? Like, what's going on? What do you guys think of this? Brandon, we'll start with you. I know none of the three of us are going to be Netflix games gamers, most likely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I have anything incredibly profound to say about this other than it seems ridiculous. 80 games on a roster is astronomical, even for a company as large as Netflix. This makes me think we're really getting some really low quality experiences from Netflix here. That's all I can assume. Either that or they think that this is like a badge of like something to be proud of. Like when that Dying Light bragged it was like 1,500-hour campaign or whatever. Like, I just don't think they understand that it's like, yeah, 80 games. It's like, wow, good for you. How diluted and shitty will all of these be? And how many will ever see the light of day? So yeah, I don't get it, and it seems kind of tone deaf to even make this statement. Them working on games in general, I don't really have a problem with.
Sure.
And I guess the install base for Netflix is really high, so I'm sure they'll catch some of the low-hanging fruit, but I don't think people like us are really clamoring for Netflix to put out any sort of video game, whether it be Emily in Paris or the Squid Games video game. I don't know. like I don't know.
That is one I could see actually working out. Squid Games.
Right.
Squid Game. Yeah.
So,
I could actually see that one working out. Like, I mean, you put You put the Squid Game outfits on the Fall Guys stuff. Hey, you got yourself a game right there.
100-player BR, dude. It could work.
Davey, Netflix, you're the subscription canceling king, so
Yeah, Netflix, just like you, you said it was the first time in 15 years you'd canceled, but I still haven't. Netflix is kind of my ride or die at this point. But yeah, an Emily in Paris Battle Royale, I think,
Sheesh.
I'd pay premium for that. But yeah, I mean, you kind of said it right off the top, Ben. I suspect the target they're going for is not us. I think it's more the casual and mobile. But I still don't think the approach is really going to set them up for success. It just kind of sounds like they're a bunch of executives who heard the numbers that you rambled off earlier, Ben, and thought, we should get a piece of that pie. We got a bunch of people on our platform. But to think that people who are watching Emily in Paris and Selling Sunset are going to jump in for, a narrative-driven point-and-click adventure or something in between seasons it's just a bit naive to me, and it kind of sounds like they just assume everybody's going to play video games because you put them in front of them. I can't see my wife attaching or connecting a Bluetooth controller up to the TV to play something like this. Like I don't know. I see the games that they're putting on there now, and I think, okay, they're really simple puzzle games, and it's something you could just kind of, I don't know, spend 10 minutes on and then jump out. But the fact that I think you said less than 1% of people have actually engaged with the games at this point.
that wasn't a couple years ago, to be fair. But,
yeah, I can't imagine. They seem to be happy with the numbers, but it's the other thing they said is they're focusing on narrative-driven adventures because they're, quote, easier to make.
Yeah.
That's not really a great approach to take when you're trying to make like captivating experiences. We're focusing on the stuff that's easy to get out the door, and 80 in development at once is not a good omen for quality. So I'm with you guys. I think these are going to come and go pretty quick. There might be a couple that are cool to check out, but I think if Netflix wanted to kind of capitalize on this, they could focus on more social experiences that are driven through a mobile phone, the party-based stuff. That could be cool. But trying to get somebody who's watching Emily in Paris or Selling in Sunset to jump into a game, I don't think it's going to work. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know we've touched on this, but it just goes to prove that, like, yeah, I know how business works. I know how some of these high-level executives think. They're not really engaged with the product. They see, okay, these are the fastest-growing sectors. How do we get a piece of that? And, of course, Netflix, they're already in your house. They're already on your TV, on your phone, whatever. Of course, they're going to want to try to put something else in front of you that's interactive in that same way, but it's just not the same thing. And that's not to say that somebody who is good at streaming couldn't make a great gaming experience. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I don't think Netflix is the one that's going to pull it off. And I'm probably going to be wrong. And they're probably going to, even if they get very poor engagement, it's probably still going to make them plenty of money. But if you don't think this is going to affect your net, they're like, oh, it's not going to affect your subscription price. Bullshit. It's going to.
Yeah,
you cannot. Yeah. If you have 80 games in development, and let's say that, every studio that they have, every team that they have working is working on 5 of those, and they're in various stages, and one of them is just on paper, one of them's almost done, and the other 3 are in between. They're still paying people to make these games.
Right.
That money has to come from somewhere, and it will eventually. If they're not going to have ads in them, they're not going to have in-game purchases, whatever. Eventually, they're going to have to start charging you for those. So keep that in your hat. If you're like, who cares? It's just not for me. It will affect you if you're a Netflix subscriber. It just will. And guess what? When Netflix raises their prices, everybody else is like, okay, we're good too. Because most of them have a lower subscription base than Netflix does. Ed Walton says, just a note, those dress-up games with some story do all right. That is so far outside of my wheelhouse, I don't even know what you're talking about. But I'm going to take your word for it that I know there is an entire genre of gaming and an entire group of gamers outside of anything I even understand to be existing. But I don't know. Is it going to work on Netflix? That's my key point. On Netflix, I go to Netflix to watch movies and TV and laugh or cry or get scared or whatever. I don't go there to play games. It just isn't what I do. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who will. All right. The next story and the last story that I have here Netflix has 80 plus games in development. I just freaking read that one. I copied the same thing.
God damn it, Ben.
Baldur's Gate 3. Tech for Gamers. I copied the same link twice, apparently. Baldur's Gate 3 has shocked the industry last year. Not only did it win the prestigious GOTY Award, but it also redefined the perception of RPGs, elevating Larian Studios to unimaginable heights. However, the game is nearly 1 year old today, released in August of 2023. This RPG here hit nearly 1 million concurrent players at its peak. Almost a full year later, it continues to show strong results, hitting 100K concurrent players each day. Such longevity is typically the goal for multiplayer titles. Even then, very few games achieve these types of player counts, with most rapidly losing interest in a few months. According to SteamDB, the game peaked at over 112,000 players in the last 24 hours. While impressive, this is nothing out of the ordinary for this title. Since this figure only shows the concurrent players, the number of daily players is likely much higher. BG3 presents an experience where players can easily sink in hundreds of hours. With its staying power now rivaling the likes of Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, the game stands out as one of the biggest RPGs of this generation. One major reason for this healthy player base is Larian Studios' continued support. While single-player games don't typically receive updates for a whole year, this team is challenging many live service studios with its post-launch support. The latest update coming in September will introduce mod support. Oh my gosh, that's gonna break Steam. And fix split screen issues. Moreover, Larian Studios has confirmed that it won't be the final update, even though they've moved on to other projects. Boys, do you think there's any part of Larian that's like, what if we had done one DLC? We could all buy a yacht.
Honestly, I think they already feel that way
Yeah.
based off of the sales numbers. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure they're doing just fine, guaranteed. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're just riding the horse, just riding it into the sunset at this point. This is the game that keeps on giving. We were saying it when it came out, but clearly insanely dedicated fan base. And what you read is absolutely right. I mean, they keep adding stuff to the game, and it's not just like, I don't know. I haven't played in a while, but I saw something on Twitter that was like they added different story beats for almost every character in the game recently or something like that. Like, I'm talking substantial additions to the game almost every single time. Like game-changing stuff, story stuff. And it's for a reason. I think that this game probably would have retained a lot of its players even if there wasn't regular updates. But I think that's kind of the golden ticket there, is that the updates are so frequent and so substantial that people continually come back because they have a reason to.
Right.
So.
Plus, they got to see how many different kinds of ways they can have sex with every different character in the game.
Damn, dude, I can't wait for the mods.
Dave, you've not checked out Baldur's Gate 3, and I think you said it was probably not your style, but what with this much staying power and this many people loving it and all the accolades it's gotten, are you a little bit curious?
No, I'm not. But this is impressive nonetheless because I think this being a game with the number 3 at the end, that is the third iteration, and it's a CRPG. The fact that it has had this much success is unbelievable, and I think it's the most impressive part is I think it's transcended its player base. And the reason I said at the top that it's got a 3 in the thing, a lot of times game makers will remove the number because they don't want people to think, well, I haven't played 1 or 2, so I can't play, I won't play 3. I just think this game is so good and so quality that so many people who maybe weren't into the series before have now gotten into it, and that's huge. So yeah, it's insane the numbers that this game is doing. I'm just not into this style of game, so I'm still not going to go for it. But the other thing is I don't think this game has had any deep discounts over the past 12 months, has it?
It's had like the normal, 10% off for Steam sale kind of thing, but nothing substantial.
Deep. Yeah,
not the Ubisoft thing where after a week it's 50% off.
Right.
Yeah. It's so I mean the fact that it's got that many players a year after launch with no significant discounts it's just we don't see these things that often. So hats off to Larian. Enjoy the success and take your time before whatever you do next, because you earned a pop or two, I think.
Speaking of, it's a totally different style of game, but do you guys remember how huge Dragon's Dogma 2 was when it came out? Like everyone on the internet was talking about it. Everything was being shared. It's not nearly as big of a game, but under 2,000 players on Steam right now. Does not
That
have the
game
same kind of
stunk
staying
of
power.
very flavor of the week
Yes.
because everybody was kind of raving over it for the first 10 days, and then some of the shit started to come out. So
Yeah.
I hate it.
I did not enjoy what I played. I did not enjoy it.
I hated it, dude. I wanted to like it so bad. It's it's the first game in literally years that I've bought at full price, and I've only played like less than 10 hours. Like I cannot. I disliked it that much.
Yeah. It was not my thing, but
Me too.
it could have just been the mood I was in at the time. You know, maybe I go back into it in a year and I love it, but it wasn't for me. I did see one other thing, by the way, while we were talking. It popped up in my feed. This comes from GameDeveloper.com. I just Googled it and clicked the link. In a statement provided to game developer, Humble said its game publishing label is undergoing restructuring rather than fully shutting down. This restructure involved much deliberation and careful thought. Let me go back to the original story. The IGN-owned Humble Games was reportedly closed down this morning, and its 36-person staff was laid off entirely. The publishing offshoot of the popular platform was cut, and seemingly without any prior warning. At the time of writing, Humble itself has yet to comment on the matter. Humble Games, yada yada, et cetera, et cetera. And then, okay, the update. In a statement provided to game developer, Humble said its game publishing label was undergoing restructuring rather than fully shutting down. This restructure involved much deliberation and careful thought with the goal of ensuring the stability and support of our developers and ongoing projects. We're acutely aware, of the profound impact this decision has on our team members of Humble Games and deeply empathize with everyone affected. Our team's contributions have been world-class, etc., etc. Ongoing and future projects are said to be unaffected, and the restructure has no impact on Humble Bundle's operations. It affirmed that it was committed to making this transition as smooth as possible for everyone involved. So, I don't know if it's true that the 36-person staff at Humble Games is totally gone, or if it's just some of them or what, but either way, IGN cutting some cost. Well, some dead weight, apparently. Be interesting. They've published... There's so many games that... Let me just look. Humble Games list.
I think all of IGN is dead weight at this point, apart from Adam Bankers.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Trim the fat.
Let's see. All right. Wow, they've got a lot of games. Let's see here. This one that just came out is called Path of the Teal Lotus. Never heard of it. Cultist Simulator. I have heard of that one. Forager. I tried that and hated it. Ghost Song, Hat in Time, Midnight Fight Express. I played a little bit of that one. One Step from Eden, Signalis, which was pretty well received. Slay the Spire, which is pretty well received. Temtem, okay, interesting. Void Bastards. I'm just reading off a few here, not all of them by any means, but that's a lot of games that I feel like they have a lot of games here, and I feel like I'm pretty plugged in and don't recognize most of them. That's not a great sign, but anyway. That's the last thing I wanted to bring up, even though I didn't really have anything specific for it.
Wow.
Boys, it's time to talk about what we've been playing. I really don't have anything substantial to talk about because I was away this last weekend. Other than I've been streaming Sea of Thieves. The new season comes out Thursday. I'm excited to check that out. I have checked out a couple of the short things, Chained Together, Golf with Friends, but Brandon's going to talk about those in more depth, I think. So let's just go ahead and go to Brandon. I'll chime in with my thoughts on those particular titles.
Yeah, so I played Minecraft, but I'm not going to talk about that. Chained Together. I was kind of seeing the buzz around this game. Ben had mentioned it to me. He was kind of on board before anyone I knew with the game itself. But I saw people.
Yeah, that was probably a month ago. I was like, guys, this game's $5. You should all go buy it.
Yeah, and I saw good things. I just never pulled the trigger on it. And recently, with the popularity of the Kai Cenat and the iShow Speeds stream, we kind of got into it and tried it out. And I got to say, it's pretty fun. It reminds me a lot of that Only Up, but with the twist. I don't even know if that game's still online anymore or like up for purchase. I think they might have delisted it. But
oh, really? I didn't realize that.
I saw something about that. But yeah, it's a lot of fun and really frustrating, but just a good romp with the boys. Dave, do you know about this? Do you know about this chain
No,
together?
I'm just watching it now for the first time, and I would have thought this was only up, but
It's got a twist
frustrating.
though.
Yeah.
Brandon, you can talk about the gameplay mechanics and stuff. if you
Yeah,
want.
yeah. So it's like only up where you like literally just keep going up and you have to do obstacles, but there can be between 2 to 4 players total and you're all chained together. Like literally you're chained together. So you have to jump over obstacles, you have to complete like almost time trial type things, swim in mazes, just all kinds of stuff being launched on bounce pads, but while being simultaneously attached to the other person you're playing with. So it's definitely a lot of fun. It's really chaotic. It's very frustrating, but it's cool. It's really cool, and I've enjoyed what I've played with it. I need to play it some more. You can turn on checkpoints, which makes it significantly easier, obviously, but that's not the intended way to play, as far as I'm concerned. So I got to raw dog it. If I fall, I'm going back to the beginning, and that's the way it goes. So yeah, it's cool, and it's super cheap. It's only $5, so might as well check it out if you got a couple buddies with PCs. So
I bought this after watching a streamer that I like who doesn't normally play that type of game play it for a little bit, and I was like, $5. I'll spend $5. I told you guys about it, and then like nobody wanted to play, and I was like, well, okay, now I just have this game. I don't want to play by myself, but Brandon, I'm afraid it would test our friendship to play because I'm very cautious and you like to run everywhere. I don't know
Yeah.
if we would work well together in this game.
dude, it would be perfect. It would
No.
it would be good for both of us because it would be a test of my patience and of your patience, but for different reasons.
Yeah, but I don't have any patience. I mean, I have patience
See?
when I'm doing my own things. I don't have patience with other people.
That's
It wouldn't
why
be a
it-
test. It would be a
that's why it's a-
demonstration of failure.
No, that's why it's a test because it would test your patience to be patient with me, and it would test my patience because I don't have any, so I would have to do it. I would have to be patient.
Brandon, I've been playing video games with you for 10 years. I've told you, Brandon, we can't do that. We can't do that. We can't do that. You've never listened to me a single time.
Dude, listen, it's gonna work. We're gonna make it happen. I will be the goodest boy, and you will see how far I've come.
No.
Last but certainly not least, I have played golf with friends, and I have actually been golfing with friends. The very, very, very simple mini golf game with friends. There's literally 2 controls. You can aim, and you can choose how hard you hit it. That's it. And there are a couple other things. There's a little bit of nuance. I've not looked into the buttons, like you can bounce your ball and stuff. And I think you might even be able to do like backspin, forward spin, shit like that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I was looking into controls. There's definitely more controls than I knew were available in the game. I'm gonna have to look at them next time we play. But yeah, just a simple little mini golf game with some just outlandish courses. Quite a bit of fun as well. Very cheap. I think it's only $14 on CD keys, maybe $30 full price. There's a lot of maps in the vanilla.
No, I think I bought it on CD keys or actually I bought it on Aniba because I have an affiliate code there and I get
Ooh.
kickbacks. Thank you very much. But I bought it on Aniba. I think it was under $5 for the base game and like maybe a couple dollars extra for one of the DLCs, and then like the full edition was like $60 or something. There's so many levels to it.
Right.
To have.
But yeah, it's good fun. Yeah, I guess not much more to say about that, but
Yeah, you golf with
It's-
your friends.
it's certainly not everybody's golf. I will
No.
say that playing golf with friends made me want a new Hot Shots so bad. And it made me mourn the loss of the Everybody Golf servers because there's nothing more than I would love to jump in with the boys on PlayStation and play a few holes on Everybody's Golf. But sadly, we can't do that anymore. Thanks, Sony.
Brandon, golf with friends. Another example, even though it's not a cooperative game, of you just not being patient. You're just like click, 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 get the ball to go wherever it wants to go. I've seen you
Dude,
play that
listen,
game. I've seen
there
you
was-
playing it.
There
You're
was a
just
couple
sending
times
that ball
when
as
I
far
was
as it'll go.
when I was higher than you, buddy. Just once or twice, buddy. Hey,
Oh,
listen.
once or twice out of like 74 holes or whatever it was.
Hey, listen. Even if it's 11 strokes, that's 8 more than I usually get in before I'm busting. You know what I mean? Like it don't matter, boy.
Dave, what have you been playing?
I was also away this weekend, so unfortunately I didn't play much. Put a little bit more time into Doom Eternal. I'm literally at the very end of the second last level, so I'm fighting the second last boss. So yeah, hopefully this time next week I will have finished it and I can kind of put a bow on that. Yeah, the last two levels are, first of all, there's a little annoying part. You know when you get to the end of a game and you get the point of no return message where it's like, hey, you're entering the end of the game. You can't come back to your base after this. Doom goes ahead and rattles off 4 more missions after you get that message. So I got that message. I'm like, sick. I'm going to finish the game tonight. And then I'm like, there are 4 more levels to go. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. I got all the collectibles earlier today. So that part of my potential platinum journey is done, which is cool. And, yeah, that's kind of all I got to say about that.
I wanted to go back to Chain Together for a minute, by the way, Brandon. This game is $5, and it is a smash success, mostly because of streamers and YouTube and stuff like that. But the thing I wanted to mention about it is that although there is programming involved, and of course there's skill and design, and I'm sure it took a lot of work to put together. The entire game is literally just an asset flip. Like everything you see in the game, just like a lot of these other games that are similar to it, everything else you see in the game is just an asset. Maybe it's palette swapped, maybe whatever, and they're all stacked together in a giant structure, 3,600 meters or whatever it is. It's insane. Like the game probably cost incredibly little to make.
Let's see the Steam charts. I'm just curious.
Oh, it's huge. It's insane.
23K, past 24 hours, 14K right now.
Yeah, it's absurd. And somebody mentioned, do you think AAA developers look at games like that and just get pissed? Yes, I do. But I'm like, I don't know who made that game, how many people made it, whatever. But I'm very happy for them because just like all the other games we've talked about over the years that, charge to under $10, break out like crazy. I'm happy for those couple people who became millionaires like literally overnight. Because I'm sure, again, it requires work, but like probably not that much work. Think about Lethal Company. That game was some work, but that game it's dead now, but it blew up. And that guy was rich in a minute. No, I mean, comparatively. I'm not saying it's dead.
You're supporting that narrative, Ben, when a game starts to go down.
Spinning a false narrative, dude.
12K, yeah, it's totally dead.
All right, that's all we got for the show today. Don't forget, you can go over and support us at patreon.com/handsomephantom for as little as $1 a month. We appreciate you guys over there for sure. You can also hang out with us on Discord, handsomephantom.com/Discord. We appreciate having you all there. We're going to sort out the show title and all that kind of stuff, but as far as the show goes, we are done.
That's it.
Hopefully, we'll see you back here next week. Actually, most of you we won't see back here next week live. We appreciate the many times more people who listen and watch, but we would love for a few more of you to like switch over and just come hang out with us. I swear it's some fun. Have a good night. We'll see you next week.
Bye. Dude, time to drink a Busch Light Peach.
Well, we got to come up with the show title before you inject that poison into your body.
Busch Light Peach. Make that the show title.
Just peach.
It's just like 5 or 6 E's at the end. Why weren't you drinking it during the show?
I don't know. I just didn't think about it. All these empty cans in front of me didn't jog my memory.
Yeah. Chat usually sends in a good recommendation for a show title, but
Ed says something, but I don't want to inflate his ego. What did he say?
Call it Fighting First.
He said vasectomy after Halo earlier. Yeah. Fighting first? Okay.
Because we talked about fighting games and we talked about players first.
Chief
Perfect.
fucks.
Chief ass.
Well,
John
thank you,
117.
I appreciate that.
cheeks.
Does it look different than normal? I don't know that it looks different than normal, but I appreciate the compliment either way. Thank you much.
Cool.
Vasectomy after Halo. Actually, it was Halo after vasectomy, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
In that
Right.
order.
Binge show.
What if you had been playing Halo during your vasectomy?
It's so distracting that they're like, watch this.
watch the show. All right,
Alrighty.
boys. I'm out of here.
Good night, y'all.
I will see y'all. Well, I won't say we're going to stay and upload. Everybody else, I'll see you later.
Thank you. I love
Looks
you.
a bit more red, I think. Thank you. I love you. Okay. Good. Goodbye, everybody.
I was talking
Have a
in
good night.
chat.
Oh, fine. Whatever. How dare you?